have this?
Because he goes and lives at Golden Corral. So anyhow, hi everybody. Let's talk racing.
I'm talking food.
Yeah, Al's talking food. I think he's hungry. You got another hour until dinner, buddy.
But we get to talk about food anyway a little bit later on with one of the guests.
We do?
Yes.
Who's that?
Who?
Daniel Hemric.
Oh my
How do you
goodness,
pronounce
I
it?
hadn't
He's
even
a
guessed
new driver
this.
for NTS on the truck series. And Brendan Newberry sent me some stuff about asking about something that happened at In-N-Out Burger.
Okay. Oh yeah, In-N-Out this weekend
So,
in Las Vegas.
but there was something that has already happened there, and so I'm supposed to give you that question to throw at
Okay.
him.
Wait, what?
There's a couple of them.
Okay.
I haven't talked to Brendan
Anywho,
since.
the last race here, what'd you think of Hotlanta?
It wasn't very hot. I was not there. I figured 2 weeks in Florida is enough, so I stayed home.
Ah,
Left me all alone here.
I did a story for Autoweek saying that everybody last year at this time was saying, you know, Jimmy Johnson didn't win Daytona. He didn't win the second race. And everybody was saying, will that team ever win again? Because for Jimmy Johnson, a 3-race losing streak or 4-race losing streak that's catastrophic. Well, last year he lost. He did not win till round 12. He lost the first 11 races, and everybody was saying, well, they're done, they're over. It's, you know, he's lost it. So now they can say, okay, we've already won this year. Shut up, leave us alone.
I actually did read it, and we put it on our blog too.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes.
Did they pay me? They hadn't paid me for that yet.
You better talk
They
to
better.
them about that.
Yeah.
Well, we just
it's
mentioned
funny.
it on air, so.
It's funny how a team that good can be perceived as being over the hill when they have a little bit of a slump, even a little bit of a slump. Well, they're done. They finally caught up to Chad. He's not cheating anymore, whatever. And yet, he just...
I plead the fifth.
And that was after them not being able to even do the final qualifying too.
Right, he started, I think, 37th or 38th, something like that. So.
Yeah, what did you think about that debacle? That whole
Well, it's nobody's fault except the 13 teams that didn't make it.
well,
30 teams or 32 teams made it. 13 didn't.
right.
Now, who you can put the blame on?
Well, question. NASCAR or somebody in NASCAR had put out there that they actually shortened the amount of inspection time by an hour now.
No,
too.
they added to it.
They did add to
At
it?
the end, they added 15 minutes at the end.
But what I was saying was that they originally had shortened it an hour, and then they turned around and added 15 because everybody's so far
But the
behind.
schedule that they put out when they get there, the drivers knew exactly what was coming.
Yeah.
Now, here again, I look at it this way. If 32 teams made it and 13 didn't make it, whose fault is that?
Shouldn't have tried to do the gray area too much.
That's like Joe Carver always said at Langley, my dear friend Joe Carver, who died 2 years ago, and I miss him still. He said, I said, Carver, how can you start this race at 7 o'clock? Look at the people out lined up to buy tickets. He said, look at the people who got here on time. I'm not going to inconvenience those people for those people.
Next time, get here a little sooner.
Yeah, you just, NASCAR should not apologize to those 13 teams that didn't get through qualifying when 30-some teams did get through, so it's their own fault. I bet you it doesn't happen again.
Probably not. No, I'm not going to say that because something will probably happen.
Yeah, but something unusual will happen.
If you would go through and make it through the first time through the tech inspection, you wouldn't have to worry
Or
about
the
it.
second time maybe.
Yeah.
Some teams, it was 3 times they didn't make it,
Yeah.
so you can't blame them. I mean, you can blame them. You can't blame NASCAR.
Yeah.
Now you can blame NASCAR, and you can blame people for not having soft walls where they should have them.
That is true.
After what happened at Daytona, everybody said, "Oh man, we're going to immediately do something." You know, we're going when you guys get to Atlanta next week, it'll all be, we'll have something there. Well, clearly they didn't. And I'll bet you at Las Vegas this weekend, there may be a small stretch of place where there's not a wall. So, you got to put that on NASCAR and the speedways, because what happened to Kyle Busch and what happened to Jeff Gordon the other day, and what happened to Denny Hamlin 2 years ago in California, it shouldn't happen to anybody.
No.
And I think they can afford it. I think they've got the money.
Really? You don't
I
say.
think NASCAR's got the money
I
to
would
do
have
it.
never guessed
Well, isn't it the
that.
track that pays for that? $500 a foot.
Well, but NASCAR and ISC, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, Atlanta's a Bruton track, Las Vegas is a Bruton track, Phoenix is a NASCAR track, California's a NASCAR track. Yeah, I mean, somebody, and the question of ISC and NASCAR, it's just which pocket's the money going to come out of.
Yeah.
It's all the same money. I mean,
If you think about it, yeah, the wheel goes round and round, the world goes round and round.
yeah, and what's going to happen is they're going to, I mean, Kyle Busch is only going to miss maybe 6 or 8 or 10 races. If a driver really gets like beat up so bad he can't come back for a year, or maybe a young driver's career ends with a concrete hit, then you know, NASCAR, you just can't have that. You can't have that.
Yeah.
And I told somebody at Daytona that afternoon when Kyle Busch wrecked, as many cars as we have seen wreck at the start-finish line and end up down at that end of the racetrack, you would think that they would have done it by now, that you put a wall down there.
Yeah.
And if you also notice, that's the area where the sports cars come off the tri-oval to go to the road course. And if one of those slid off the track into the grass, they would hit that concrete wall a ton. So it'll be fixed by July, I bet you that.
Oh yeah, they've already said that.
Yeah,
That's going to be taken care of before the next race.
And I'll bet you Atlanta will be fixed by the time they go back next year, if they go back next year. And I bet you Las Vegas today is probably as safety proof as it can be. So
I think
we'll
after
find
that
out.
happened, a lot of tracks decided to take a deeper look into how everything was, because nobody was really prepared for when that had happened, because everybody assumed that an accident like that where fans would get hurt wouldn't happen. So I feel like ever since that went down, all the tracks were kind of like the next day, okay, everybody, let's kind of get our stuff together and let's really take a deeper look and see if we need to do something, or if we can add something in case this does happen here, because it's rare when it does happen, but whenever it does, it's catastrophic and it's terrible because fans are injured and it's hard for drivers to go on and celebrate. I mean, that happened during the last couple of laps, and it's like, well, how are you supposed to be happy that you won now?
I mean, Jeff Gordon took a terrible lick at Las Vegas 4 or 5 years ago in the backstretch in an area where there's no soft wall. You can't do that. You can't do that.
Hey, how's you like the photo?
I don't know what he's doing now, but he keeps it up there long.
Roger's
I'm gonna leave and go to
showing
McDonald's.
pictures. I remember that because Roger told me, see, he's sleeping.
That's how hard it was.
That's how boring that race must have been.
And then I
Yeah.
turned around and you were dead asleep.
You were relaxing. You'd been overworked, I think.
I had a hard day.
How's that new recorder working for you?
How what?
That
The
new
new
recorder, did it
recorder.
work good for you?
Yeah, it worked great at Daytona.
It
Yeah,
is the setup owl-proof.
it worked good. Yeah,
Yeah, so owl-proof.
It worked.
whoever figured it out made it work. It worked okay.
Apparently some guy named Roger, like Roger Brehm, like some dude named that. I don't know.
he
It must
ain't
be
gonna give me
important or
credit on
something.
And the other big story at Daytona, in addition to qualifying being screwed up and Kyle Busch being screwed up, Kurt Busch also is screwed up. The thing about that worries me a little bit is that Chevrolet has disavowed him. They've kind of said, okay, we don't want anything to do with him
We're just gonna
for the
back away.
time being. Okay, if you're a Ford team and you need a driver, do you dare try to get Ford to sign off on him? Chevrolet doesn't want him. Why would Ford be able to take him? Okay, so if Ford doesn't take him and Chevrolet doesn't take him, no, wait a minute. If Chevrolet won't take him and Ford doesn't want him, Toyota can't possibly go and pick him up. Because people already hate Toyota for being in NASCAR.
Oh yeah.
So if Toyota goes and picks up a guy that is perceived by many to be an abuser, then Toyota makes itself look like idiots. So I don't know. I told somebody the other day in a story I wrote, I don't think Kurt Busch, I keep getting them not mixed up, but I don't think Kurt Busch's biggest problem is being suspended. because he's been suspended before, and he's been fired, and he always seems to land on his feet. His biggest worry is that no manufacturer will have him. And the other problem is, say a manufacturer or say a team owner just is so brazen and so stubborn that he's going to hire Kurt Busch no matter what the manufacturer says. What does his sponsor say? What if that team has a sponsor who says, you know,
I'm not okay with this.
Right,
I'm
right.
out,
He's-
because then
right.
there goes the money. And
right, he is hands off. So the manufacturers don't want him, sponsors don't want him. Where's he going to go?
How about F1?
Well, I don't know if he's good enough for that.
no,
You know, we'll find out.
Well, he did have fun doing Indy.
Well, that's different from F1, yeah, but still, yeah, Indy. But you know, Michael Andretti might give him a ride for Indy, but what about the other
Well, Gene Haas.
15 or 16 races?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if he's good enough for Formula One. Then why would Gene Haas put him in a Formula One car when they had to take him out of a Cup car?
true.
Yeah.
And the sad deal about this is, it all comes down to a he said, she said.
Yep.
There are no witnesses.
There's actually nothing proven that was illegal.
She is an incredibly skillful public speaker. She's incredibly good at what she does. She's very good at convincing you that what she's saying is the God's honest truth,
Gospel.
and he's not.
Yeah.
His track record does not give him a lot of wiggle room.
It doesn't.
Did you ever get to see the videos that
This
her
is-
company created?
Uh-uh.
That as soon as the case started going and that started becoming a focal point,
Yeah.
off of YouTube it went.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He tried to get it, but as soon as he got to thinking about it, it was like, can't be shown. Like, you know, what's usually shown on there? Like sensitive information or something
They
like
said
that?
proprietary information
Yeah,
was
proprietary
being...
information.
That
Yeah,
just means we
it
don't.
was bull.
Yeah.
The attorney said get it off of there. It's
Yeah.
hurting the case.
But I'm afraid, I think, that his career may be done in by a vindictive, manipulative woman who is just out to get him.
All it takes is one wrong move,
Woman
one wrong
scorned.
place,
Woman's
But we
going-
don't know if he's done anything wrong.
and that's where this is such a sensitive case because it's really like, well, who is really telling the truth? Because either of them, could, like, yeah, she could be lying, but she also could be telling the truth. Like you said, there's no concrete evidence. She could be that manipulative and trying to make a score, like you said, woman score on her side and hurting him. But this could really put his career either on hold for a very long time or it might not be able to restart.
The initial report said that she went directly from his motor coach to that of the MRN chaplain and his wife. And they did not see any signs of distress. They didn't see any signs of anger. They didn't see where her head was battered against the... They didn't see any of that.
No bumps or bruises.
No, right. The preacher didn't see any of that. Of course, her argument is, well, the preacher and Kurt are good friends. It's all an in-house NASCAR conspiracy to, you know, make him look like the good guy.
Even if a preacher is friends with someone, a job of somebody is to be open and comforting to anybody who is in distress.
Well,
Is
supposed to be,
like
yeah.
it's supposed to be. But yes, there are things that happen, and it's supposed to be, love thy neighbor as thyself and be good unto others. But even then, technically, the priest should not be wavered. Yes, there have been times where things have happened. Everyone's human, but
It's going to come to a thing where they're going to have to start delving into each person's past for anything
Well, I
that
mean,
they
yeah, I mean,
And then-
NASCAR has already put out a tech bulletin or a rule saying that I think it's within 24 hours. Within 24 hours, if you are involved in anything that requires a police or legal response, you got to tell us.
It'll be
If it's a speeding ticket, if it's running a red light, if it's walking out of a Kmart with a bag of chips or something and you get stopped, you got to tell us within, I think it's 24 hours. Well, maybe 48. You've got to
Probably
let us
48.
know that you have been involved with something that requires our attention. So, and it all comes down to the fact that if Kurt Busch had done or not done whatever he did or didn't do last year before the NFL Ray Rice thing came big, this would be no story. Travis Quaffle apparently did way worse.
Yeah. And nothing happened to him.
And was tried and put on probation and never missed a start.
Well, if she is doing this on purpose, then she's doing it exactly because all this is going on. It's right place, right time. If she is being manipulative and trying to get him hurt or down, then she was smart to make her move when she did.
Well, the idea behind getting the protective order, and I asked a lawyer this, who said, if you're going to pursue a criminal case against somebody, if you're planning to accuse somebody of a crime, a physical crime like assault, and you can get a judge to give you a protective order against that person, it builds your case.
Yeah, it helps.
It gives the next judge in line and the next jury in line, whatever, some idea that, well, you know, this other judge thought he was a bad guy, so probably is. So it's all in, you know, she waited 2 months. She did it when the tour was on the West Coast. She did it on a Friday afternoon. So there couldn't be a whole lot of reaction until, you know, further down the year. But protective order was, and in Delaware, a protective, the bar to get a protective order is pretty low. You don't need a whole lot of evidence.
Yeah.
You just need to say, I'm scared of him, get him away from me. And Kurt Busch is probably saying, I don't want to be anywhere near her. She doesn't need an order. I don't
Tired of her. I want to get away from her.
Right. Why does she do this? she doesn't need it. You know. So it could be, this thing could go on for a while. They have given Kurt a sort of a road to recovery kind of a thing. This is what you have to do to get reinstated. Not to get a ride, not to get rehired, but to be eligible again for a ride.
Yeah. Like I said, it's supposed to.
And I guess, I suppose that it's mostly counseling, anger management, maybe some alcohol studies, whether he's abusive when he drinks. I don't know. I've never seen him drink, so I don't know. But NASCAR apparently is willing to at least give him a roadmap on this is what you've got to do to come back.
Yeah.
Now,
like
when he gets reinstated,
yeah,
then he's got to worry about getting a ride.
Yeah. Because like you said earlier, you had an example. Travis Quaffle actually was convicted, put on probation. Nothing was done with him.
Nothing was done with him. Exactly.
So they can't totally not give him a way back if they already let somebody else get a free ride and never.
Well, they can. I mean, they can do whatever they want to do.
That's true.
Do whatever they want to
Well,
do.
let's say, think about that, Roger.
They made a statement at Daytona on that Friday afternoon when they suspended him. At the end of the statement that NASCAR put out, they said, we want to make it perfectly, in effect, their words were, we want to make it perfectly clear. We want it to be unmistakably obvious that we will not put up with this kind of behavior. And it was sort of a backhanded slap at the NFL because they let the Ray Rice thing go on for so long. But NASCAR was kind of saying, make no mistake about it, we're not going to put up with this kind of stuff. And anybody who thinks we are is sadly mistaken. So it's clear that NASCAR has the NFL bad image template to work from or to avoid. And I have no idea what's going to happen.
That's why everybody's kind of on the edge of their seats right now. It's like, well, what's going to go down?
Somebody, I mean, he's good enough. Somebody will give him a ride if he can get now the other thing is, here's my other question, and we've talked about this way too long. What if nothing happens? What if the district attorney in Delaware, or the attorney general, says, you know what, this is a he said, she said, there's no physical evidence, there are no witnesses, She says one thing, he says another. I don't see where we have nearly enough evidence to move forward to trial. We can't indict him. All of a sudden, he's absolutely free and clear. Do you take him back then?
I mean,
Or has the court of public opinion already made their decision that he is what he looks like he always has been?
that's one thing that could play into mind. Like you said, the public has labeled him and seen him as this like complete almost bad guy. Then even if that does happen, no matter what, if the fans say that he is and he tries to go back in, he will almost be like suddenly rejected by people who already have in their minds, no, he's bad, he did that. The judge might have said that, but no, in my mind, he is not a good person. He did that to her.
Well, the court of public opinion knows that he was stopped, arrested, detained in Phoenix that year for an alcohol-related checkpoint violation.
Yeah.
They know he got fired that next morning by Jack Roush. They know that he on TV absolutely eviscerated Jerry Punch on an interview that went viral. Everybody got to see it. It was not on live TV as people have been led to believe, but it was.
It got passed around. A lot of people saw it. Everybody knew about it.
Everybody saw it.
If they hadn't seen it, they heard about it.
And within 2 weeks or less than that, Roger Penske fired him. They know he got suspended at Dover several years ago for threatening a reporter. For saying, you know, if I went on probation, I'd beat the stuffings out of you.
Which is why
that got him suspended for a race. They remember the time at Talladega when he wrecked and the safety people came to him, put all their equipment on the back of his race car, trying to check him out, and he got back in the car and drove off with all their stuff on the back. You know, so they know he's had trouble before with behavior and hair trigger, temper, and other things. All right, and you can't make somebody unremember what they saw.
No.
You can't go back and say, well, Jack Roush didn't really fire him.
Especially
because he did.
If it's happened, like you said, like you've mentioned, like already 3 things, and like it's constant, like over and over and over, and people will remember that. And
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that the judge was like, well, you know, he has probably realized or seen or looked up that he has threatened or been told, well, you know, he threatened a reporter.
Well,
so,
I don't know that the judge who issued, or the commissioner, wasn't a judge, I don't know that the commissioner who issued the protective order against him.
You realize that?
I don't know if he knew all that much about the past. I don't know if that would be admissible because it did not involve her. It was a different group of people altogether. And I'm sure that any defense attorney worth his salt would try to get thrown out of court any reference to prior behavior. You say, well, you can't talk about what he did 5 years ago or 8 years ago, or he's a different guy, he's grown up, he's matured, yada yada. You can't hold his past against him. Well, but the jury knows.
Yeah, that's the thing is like
you can't tell the jury to forget what we know he has done.
And that's where things like that, like you said, the public falls to their hands because somebody, like you said, the jury's going to know that, and they're going to keep that in the back of their mind while listening to everything. Even if he does say things like, you know, like that, and then like evidence isn't there, they're going to listen to, wow, he threatened a reporter before, and she's saying that all of this happened. With that in their mindset, who are they really going to lean on towards?
So he may be done. I don't know.
Now, he automatically gets fired from Stewart Haas when that happened, right?
Well, no. I mean, NASCAR suspended him.
Right.
I think Stewart Haas says that I don't remember verbatim the release that Joe Custer put out.
Like a wait and see thing?
No, he put it out last week sometime. I think it says something to the effect, we're going to wait until this process plays out, and we're going to wait until we see what NASCAR tells him he has to do to come back. I think they've said he's still a member of our family, but he can't be around the team, he can't be around the race car. he can't be at a racetrack, I don't think.
No, you can't be a
He can't do anything. He's pretty much out there floating around, trying to do whatever he can do, so.
Go out and do some dirt racing.
Something. Well, who we got on tonight? We got
I'm
anybody?
waiting for Jeffrey Earnhardt to call.
I was say we have Jeffrey
He's running
Earnhardt,
behind.
but that was supposed to be at 7:15, and we've yacked on all the way to 7:25.
Yeah.
And
You're
next
doing good.
person's at 7:30. So if
He'll be
Daniel calls, are we gonna push Jeffrey back?
I already sent a text to his PR person to have him call at 7:45
Well,
instead. At
that's
least to contact me back and let me know.
Okay.
So since we left that open for a little bit longer section there and for an earlier exit for food.
That's just,
Look at that.
What do you
I'm
think
only,
about
I'm only
you?
here so I won't get you
Here-
spent fine for not talking.
Brett Moffitt. What do you think about Brett Moffitt? His performance he did.
He did have a pretty good job. I think he's looked upon by a number of people as being, you know, he is a young star. Well, not a young star yet, but a prospect. He's going to replace, I think, Nemechek in the 34 car for the next 3 races.
Yep, Front Row Motorsports.
Yeah. So we got David Reagan goes into the 18 car, and Joe Nemechek was into the 34 car for 1 week. And now Brett Moffitt will be in it for, I think, 3. And because Brian Vickers is back in the 55 this weekend. You know, you talk about a guy having 1 good race out of, I don't know how many he's run.
Oh, it's 7 or 8 cup
Whatever,
races.
he's had 1 good finish.
But he's never been in decent stuff.
Well, I know that, no, but what I'm saying is, you remember how David Gilliland got his cup ride?
Exactly, no.
He won 1 Busch Series race in Kentucky. And Robert Yates thought, God, this proves he's good. And Robert Yates gave him a cup ride.
And
I'm not sure that's worked out all that well. I can't remember. I mean, I'm trying to think of so many other guys have had 1 or 2 great races or good races, and it got them the next step up, and they didn't last very long. Somebody talked to me yesterday morning at breakfast saying, "Hey, that Danica Patrick finished pretty good. She finished 19th or 20th
I
at
knew that was
Atlanta."
going to come up soon.
No,
Sorry.
no. My point being, she's running in the high 20s all day long.
Yeah.
People start wrecking. People start blowing up. She doesn't do anything except not wreck and not blow up. And she advances because
of course, you're going to have to.
everybody, yeah, and
attrition
it
took care
happens.
of everybody else.
It happens all the time.
Was it the truck race or the or the nationwide race? It was
the
only,
nation.
excuse me, Xfinity race. There was only what, 18
Yeah.
cars were still left?
But don't tell me she finished well. Don't tell me she ran well.
She
Now,
must
I have
beat
not,
somebody.
yeah. I did not look at Brett Moffitt's actual performance on Sunday. I know he finished well.
They finished 8th.
Yeah, finished 8th. But where was he running all day? You know, was he in the teens? Was he in the 20s?
He was around. He
When
was
a
up
bunch
and
of
down.
guys crashed out? Did he get lucky dogs? Did he get, you know, I don't know.
He actually did get 1 lucky dog, just simply because of the pit stops they did. But he actually got up and was racing up in the upper
Yeah,
tens.
and
couple times.
all of which counts. All
Yeah.
of which counts in his favor. But I always hesitate to take 1 performance, or even, or even 2, and say, man, this proves this guy's he can be great.
It would be nice if everybody had the chance to get a chance to race in the best equipment they. that
Well,
was
it'd be nice if I had a
available.
chance to work on the New York Times for a week too.
Well,
That ain't gonna happen. Be nice if you could run Saturday Night Live for 1 week. That ain't gonna happen either.
Tell me about
Be
it.
nice if she could go to Broadway tomorrow and star in Funny Girl or whatever. Probably not gonna happen.
Oh, Al.
But I'm just saying.
I know, it don't look like that, but-
ideally, Roger, you're right. It'd be nice.
You're going to have to work it because I don't know how.
Let's talk racing.
Hey, thank you, Hemric.
Hey, Daniel, how you doing tonight?
I'm good, yourself?
We're all doing well here. It's finally warming up, but not going to jinx anything. So we're excited to have you on the show. Do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself? Give us your resume for people who don't know about you so that they can see what all you've done so far with your racing career.
All right. You ready?
Yep, I'm ready when you're ready.
Yeah, I'm started out racing go-karts in Concord Motorsports Park at the age of 5, and progressed to dirt go-karts at 7 and 8 years old, and eventually made the step to Bandoleros and then legend cars, and found that's where I really had a lot of success in legend cars, and ultimately that landed me a ride into late model stuff, straight rail late model, super late model stuff. Probably I guess at the age of 19, and from there on got hooked up with good people and constantly been with good people throughout my entire career. And most exciting of them all is this year being teamed up with NTS Motorsports out of Kearnsville, North Carolina, and running for the 2015 NASCAR Triple Truck Series Rookie of the Year.
All right. That sounds wonderful. What do y'all have planned up for the upcoming year? Do you have anything that you're going to be doing, or?
Yeah, actually next weekend I'm going to South Alabama to run a super late model race for Cars and Motorsports team based out of Georgia. I'm going to run probably 10 or 12 super late model races as well as the full Capital Truck Series season. It's going to be really busy and really hectic for sure.
That's exciting. Nothing? Really?
No, I'm just learning.
Al's learning. I was looking at Al, see if he had any questions for you. I usually ask this of a driver. Is there a favorite track that you're looking forward to racing this year?
Favorite track, I guess the one I'm most anxious to get to is Charlotte. It's about a month and a half out for the Campro Truck Series, but Martinsville is the next on our schedule, and I'm really excited to get there as well, being a short track and being more of my alley. Been at Daytona and then Atlanta last weekend, kind of out of my element, so I'm excited to get back to a short track.
And what about most challenging track, or one that you go to and you kind of are like, oh gosh, I got to race here today. Oh boy.
Atlanta was tough, considering the track surface and the tire fall off, and never being at a true mile and a half. So all those variables, it can make for a frustrating day, but it's only as frustrating as you choose to make it. And I feel like for the whole team, we took it, I guess, a stride and made the most of it.
Keep that attitude. That's good. Roger, you had something?
Yeah, I've got some questions from the internet for you there, Daniel.
Oh boy.
Somebody.
I can hear you.
He's got questions.
I got some questions from you from the internet.
From the internet.
Okay.
Somebody was telling me that you went out and did some go-kart racing in Orlando during Daytona Speed Weeks.
Absolutely. Went to the Little 500, which is probably the most hidden jewel in all of Orlando, or like really all of Florida. We've been fortunate to go there twice, and man, it's so much fun. We take all our team guys and give them a chance to race against us and really beat and bang and rub off each other. And the guys that own the Little 500 racetrack there, I mean, it's probably an 8-mile oval, polished concrete with a strip of unpolished concrete around the outside. Had somewhat of a cushion, I guess you'd call it. But we took the guys there and had a heck of a time.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
I heard you didn't win against somebody.
I got beat a lot. I think they were playing against me.
I heard Kinsey beat you.
Oh, well, listen, it's called gentleman's rule. I mean, you got to let the girls win.
Oh, okay. Now, also was posted to me, also on a serious note, do you get more nervous when you're about to race or when Kinsey is about to take the green flag?
Oh, definitely when Kinsey's racing. When I'm about to race, I feel pretty calm and I guess you'd say at peace and know what the job at hand is. When she's racing, I feel like it's out of my control. There's nothing I can do. It's all up to whatever's supposed to happen. But gosh, it definitely stresses me out way more watching her race.
Yeah, we've had Kinsey on here a few times, and I've talked to her personally several times. Yeah, y'all should be a little fun group to get together, that's for sure.
We'll have to have him on the show at the same time one time.
I've got a couple of questions.
All right.
One of them can be personal. You from North Carolina originally?
Yes, Maple.
Okay. Way back before you were, 100 years ago, there was a great basketball player at Wake Forest with your...
Dickie Hemric.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is he any kin to you?
Yes, he's actually, I guess it'd be my great uncle. Actually, somebody else asked me the same question the other day. I've been to a bunch of Wake Forest games when I was younger. His jersey's still hung in the stadium, and it's funny you asked that question. That's literally nobody's ever asked me about that.
He was a great player.
What's that?
He was a great player. I remember him. I'm old. I'm real old.
No.
And I remember him.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, Bones McKinney probably was the coach back then.
Yep.
And Billy Packer may have been on that team.
Yeah, he was definitely all-star, especially, like I said, his jersey still hangs there.
I remember him.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad I asked that question. Now, my other question is this: at Daytona, after one of the 150s, or maybe after the All-Star race, Denny Hamlin got into a bit of a discussion with Danica.
Yep.
Danica felt like she could reach out and sort of touch him, push him a little bit, give him a little bit of a love tap on the shoulder to get her point across. If he had done that to her, the world would have blown up. Now, you're obviously involved with a racer of that persuasion,
Yep.
a female type.
Oh, yeah.
Do you, and it's a serious question, do you feel like women drivers have got a little bit of advantage in that they can express their emotions or their anger or their frustration? They can get up on your grill and they can yell at you and stick their finger in your face and you can't do a thing back to them? Is that the way, is that kind of the code of conduct for you guys? And I don't mean, and wait, I don't mean just your situation.
All situations.
I'm just talking
In general.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a fair question. Honestly, it's a question that would have never been answered until that happened. You know what I mean? I mean, nobody ever seen that happen. I mean, of course, Danica's been upset, or female racers have gotten upset in the past, but I've never seen one or the other lay their hands on each other, so that was a rare incident. And I'm not really sure how I feel about it. It's definitely, I guess in the heat of the moment, you can say what you want, vice versa, whether female to male or vice versa. But I don't think it's right either way for either one of them to touch each other. I know, our sport was built off, and there's a fight at Daytona, but I don't think that translates to racing nowadays. And at the end of the day, everybody can have their own opinion about the subject, but it was definitely rare.
She sort of made a habit of it when she was driving Indy cars. She made a habit of physically confronting people that had made her angry. There are all kinds of clips on YouTube and here and yonder and wherever of her yelling at people, getting in their face after an IndyCar race, after a pit stop accident or whatever. And the poor male driver just stands there with his hands in his pockets because he's afraid that if he even reaches back and touches her or pushes her away, then everybody looks at him as being, a bad guy. So
Denny got away with it.
Huh?
Denny Hamlin got away with
He
it.
didn't. I don't think he touched her.
Yeah, he did. He was.
Oh boy.
Well, okay. Holding her by the shoulder is. You can say that. Well, I'm trying to keep her away from me. It's not like he pushed her back. He was.
It's like no arm distance.
Yeah.
Kind of like taking your nephew by the head and having him running in place,
Let me ask you another question. Since I'm a journalist and I've been writing about this stuff since 1969, there are two things that you need to know when you're dealing with the media. And I take it upon myself to tell people this every time Roger has somebody on the show that's young and obviously talented and on the way up. First thing is that when you are asked a question by a media person, take off your sunglasses.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Well, okay. You say that, and I hope you mean that. A lot of your colleagues don't. They think it's cool to stand there with sunglasses on. Carl Edwards being one of the few in Cup that's smart enough to realize that, you know what, I can improve my image with the media and with the fans by showing some respect for the question and answering it that way. The other thing is, if when a media guy introduces himself, and I know you can't remember everybody because there's going to be a bunch of them in your career, but at some point during the answer that you're giving him, repeat his name. So, Al, that's a good question. Or you give a long question and say, Al, is that kind of what you were looking? Let the reporter or the TV guy or the media person understand that you remember his name and that you are happy to talk to him and you're trying to do all you can to make his job more complete, more thorough. They're my two rules that I always tell young drivers. Take off your sunglasses and let the reporter know that you are somebody, or let the reporter know that you know him and remember his name, and believe me, that'll take you a long way.
I appreciate it.
I mean, your talent will take you a long way. This will help you even more in the media center or in interview sessions and things like that.
Now,
I appreciate it. I believe all of us know that talent ain't enough nowadays, so take everything.
yep.
And before I forget, one of the best guys at doing that is the new director of the Camping World Truck Series, Elton Sawyer. I've known Elton for, I'd like to say 35 years, maybe 40. Not that long.
Quite a bit.
Certainly
Quite a bit.
certainly low 30s, because I met him when he was 16. Anyway, Elton Sawyer is as good a role model from a media perspective as you'll hope to find. Stop in and chat with him one day and he'll tell you, Al Pearce told you, take off your sunglasses and remember the guy's name. So there you go.
I appreciate it. I remember that.
We got
Hey,
some
Daniel,
from Roger.
something else was sent to me. You'll find out who later. Apparently you're on a diet of some sort.
What's that?
You're
You're
on,
on a diet?
on some sort of diet.
Am I?
Yeah.
No. Actually, I'm not really on a diet, but Kenzie's been taking me about 9 rounds, which is somewhat of a kickboxing high, I guess you'd say, high intense workout session. And that's enough of a diet for me.
That's why he doesn't bump her, because she knows how to kickbox and kick his butt.
Okay. Anyway, I was told Bob Newberry took you out to an In-N-Out burger in Bakersfield, and you had something to do about your diet or something, how you had to eat or something.
No, yeah, I say I'm not on a diet, but I try to somewhat watch what I was eating there for a while. The worst thing I ever had was a thing called calorie counter, and I saw how many calories I was taking in every day, and I was honestly out of shock. So I went on like a binge for probably, I guess about 2 weeks, and then I realized I was losing away and had to get back to my normal routine.
Listen, if you ever get on a diet, and if you ever go to an In-N-Out burger place, forget your diet, have a burger. You're the best in the world.
Well, yeah,
Life is too short.
Yeah, I would, if I lived in California,
You've been in and out burger every day.
I'd weigh 1,000 pounds. It'd be awful. I'd look like Monty Dutton twice over.
Oh my gosh. Oh, well, I do have a question. One of your teammates who we know, Brendan Newberry, do you know when we are going to see him back in racing?
I'm not sure. He's heavily involved right now with all the team operations, and he's been out on the West Coast at a big late model race, so he's been more on the business side of it this year. I think he's trying to just figure out, the racing side of it. He loves it so much, so I'm sure he'll be back soon. I can't give you a definite answer, but he's still heavily involved.
At least we have an idea.
Yeah, he'd said that they can't say anything yet. There's supposed to be some stuff coming yet.
So we're waiting.
We're waiting. I keep telling everybody, you can tell us on the show. We won't tell anybody.
I think it's so cool that you are related to a guy that I watched play basketball 50 years ago almost.
You're blowing his mind.
I just think that's cool.
Maybe somebody else knows about it.
Yeah, believe me, when I saw the last name, I thought, if he's from North Carolina, and Dickie Hemric played at Wake Forest back a while back, I want to say, you just throw it out, and that's terrific.
Yeah.
That's terrific. He was let me tell you what, he's a great player.
6'10", I think I did this week.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh
That's
my.
a tall drink of water.
I wouldn't.
How tall are you, Daniel?
Oh.
Yeah, I might be 5'9", maybe.
Now that might have been when Wake Forest was actually at Wake Forest, as opposed to Winston-Salem. I don't remember the year that Wake Forest moved from Wake Forest itself to Winston-Salem, but it might have been when he was in that little town near Raleigh, where the Carolina, Duke, Wake, and State were all in about a 25-mile radius. Now, you a Wake Forest fan? Do you still pull for them, or you pull for somebody else?
I'm a Tar Heels fan, personally.
Oh, okay.
Don't look at me.
Oh, goodness.
All right, what else?
What?
You got an embarrassing moment?
not sure that.
That way you
You're
can-
gonna love me for this one. I always ask every driver, what's your most embarrassing moment you've had with your racing career? And do not be shy, we've heard everything.
Mine was actually the weekend I met Kenzie.
Well, this is gonna be good.
We were in Monroe, Louisiana, racing a 5-day series. Really cool racetrack. I guess it was night, probably 4 or 5. We won like 4 or 5 races in a row. The final night, I won the big show, and I get out to do a backflip off the staging car.
Oh no.
And as I do it, I'm mid-air somersault, and I realize I'm rotating way too fast. Next thing you know, I land on my heels, fall on my butt, slide across the ground, and had to throw my arms up and just play it off. But that was pretty humiliating right there.
Oh, when they try to impress the girl, look what
Kenzie
happens.
watching, of course, so that didn't help me.
That sounds like what Austin Dillon tried to do. Austin Dillon won a truck race, Kansas City maybe,
Yeah.
went running across the infield to slide, and it was not wet, it was a dry apron. Remember that? And he just went,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ew, boom.
his head and nose went down, his rear came up, his legs were all
That was bad.
crazy. It was crazy.
That's funny. That's funny and cute.
Listen, when you guys come to Martinsville in 3 weeks, you'll be there, of course, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I'll come by your holler and introduce myself. Just let you know who you're talking to. And
Guaranteed. I appreciate it.
yeah, like I say, I was in Daytona for 2 weeks. I decided I don't need to go to Atlanta, get frozen out. I don't want to go to Phoenix and Vegas, so I will see you at Martinsville. That'll be
Sounds
fun.
good. I look forward to it.
Or Elton Sawyer, by the way, won a race back in the old days. Ask Sawyer how to get around Martinsville. He'll tell you.
All right.
He won Martinsville. He won a lap mile race there.
I don't know if
His
we'll be in
grandfather's clock
Martinsville.
then.
Will
Do
we?
what?
He has a grandfather's clock then.
Was that right? Okay.
Oh,
Should have
wow.
if he
Yeah, I
won
know,
in
yeah.
Martinsville, even in the late model races.
Mm-hmm.
He's also got a Rolex watch that I gave him for being the Langley track champion.
Oh, really?
Well, I had it. I talked to Joe Carver. There used to be a promoter here at Langley named Joe Carver, and Carver said, you know, if you give a guy a trophy, it'll gather dust, it'll just get forgotten. If you give him a ring or a watch, he'll wear it. I said, Carver, give all your champions a Rolex watch. And for about 5 years, he did,
Wow.
which is pretty cool. Pretty good deal, yeah.
Yeah, that's a hell of a deal. Well, shall we let you get going, or you got more stuff you want to talk with us about?
What was that?
We let you get going, or you have more stuff to talk with us about. Apparently, we're
Yeah.
quite an interesting
Okay,
bunch.
I'll talk all night if you want me to.
Oh my, Al, you'll like that.
Now, how old are you now? I want to get a feel for who I'm going to be meeting in Martinsville.
I'll be 24, but I'm not sure if I feel like 45 or 15, but
Okay.
we're in the middle there.
I like that. That's
Yeah.
cool.
I'm the same way.
You don't know what age you are, is that what you're saying?
I know what I am, but I just don't know what I am.
Yeah, this is what day it is.
Okay.
It's okay, Al.
Yeah, we know you used to cover the Flintstones racing series.
Oh, absolutely.
Roger, you're terrible.
Hey, Daniel.
Listen, I'll tell you how far back I go.
Oh, here we go.
I go so far back that Richard Petty was racing a Ford when I first started covering this stuff.
That was
Oh,
at
boy.
Dover.
It was Dover in 1969.
Ask him to tell you the
No,
Dover
I'm not gonna
story.
tell you.
When he meets you, Daniel, ask him about his interview with Richard Petty in Dover, okay?
I got it out of him that one
Okay.
night.
I'll tell it now, just get it over with.
Oh, okay.
I'm not laughing. I'm
Daniel,
not
I
laughing.
got out of the Army. I was an Army officer, and I just come back from Vietnam. And I got out of the Army in the summer of 1969, and I went to work the next weekend, or the next week, for a daily newspaper here in Newport News. And the first thing they sent me to cover was the first ever NASCAR race at Dover. And this was in July of '69. And I went up there. I had seen a race, but had never covered one. Had never met a driver or talked to anybody. So I go to Dover and I watch the race in the media center, press box. I take notes and I write a great story. And there were only 3 cars there that were any good. Pearson was there in the 17 car with Holman Moody. Leroy Yarborough was there in the 98 car with Herb Nabb and Junior Johnson. And Richard was there in the 43 Ford with Dale and his crowd. So
Yep.
Pearson blows the right front and wrecks, he's done. Leroy Yarborough blows the right front, wrecks, and he's done. Petty wins by about 5 laps.
Oh, gosh.
And so back then, the start-finish line was on what is now the backstretch at Dover, where the big horse grandstand
Okay,
is.
yep.
So I'm looking down at Victory Lane, and I noticed that Richard Petty comes into Victory Lane, and all of a sudden his left leg comes out the window. And then he kind of squunches out where his left shoulder comes out. Then he gets out and pulls out his right arm and right leg and waves to the crowd, and they do the Victory Lane deal. They bring Richard to the press box. And after all these veteran reporters who know everything had finished talking to him, I very carefully raised my hand from the back of the room.
Hoping not to be seen.
Very quietly raised my hand from the back room and said, "Mr. Petty, I've got a question." "Yeah, boy." Why did you climb out the window and not just open the door?" And Richard Petty looked at me and he said, "Boy, you don't know much, do you?" And I said, "No, sir, but I expect to learn."
And he has.
I've been doing it now for 47 years. I'm in several halls of fame, I must admit. But if you ask Richard Petty right now, what was either the dumbest question he was ever asked, or what was the first question Al Pearce ever asked, he will say, "Why did you climb out the window and not just open the door?"
That is funny.
That's a true story. But I didn't know. I had lied to get the job. I'd just gotten back from Vietnam. I figured anything's better than that.
That's it.
And I was an Army officer, and I got out, and I figured, covering stock cars probably not going to be too bad. I knew the football season was coming, basketball season was coming. I was a pretty good writer. So I just said, "Yeah, man," and they asked me at my newspaper, "Have you ever seen a race?" "Well, yeah, I'm from North Carolina. I'm from Rocky Mount. I've seen races all my life. I've seen the Daytona 500, which was true.
Yep.
But I had never covered a race. I had never talked to a driver. I didn't know jack diddly about that stuff, except I knew that Richard Petty climbed out the window, and I couldn't.
You didn't know why.
I couldn't figure out why. I didn't know.
That is funny.
But he said, "Boy, you don't know much, do you?" I said, "No, sir, but I expect to learn." So anyway,
You've learned a lot.
Sounds like me.
and I think I do know a lot. I can pretty much.
You've been around the track or two.
I know they don't put air in tires anymore. They don't put air in tires.
Nitrogen.
No, it also
Yeah,
nitrogen.
but they always say air pressure.
Yeah.
It's not air pressure.
Yeah, I'm not sure what like that.
It's nitrogen, I think, isn't
It's
it?
Yeah,
nitrogen.
nitrogen is less volatile when it gets hot.
It
less effective.
expands, more predictable,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, it's not as variable.
And you live in what part of Carolina now?
What's that?
Where do you live in North Carolina?
Mooresville.
More, okay, right there, okay.
Yep.
Right there where everything is, right
Yeah,
there.
everybody lives in Mooresville, it seems like.
Everything but NTS is in Mooresville.
Yeah. Well, we'll go ahead and let you get out of here. Tell everybody we said hi at NTS.
You got any sponsors to thank before you go?
Yes, sir. California, I'm sorry, name. I know who's asking the question.
It's alright.
California Clean Valve for coming on board and making all this possible this year. I've had so many inspirational people in my life, so hats off and thanks to everybody. It's going to be a fun year.
Alright.
Good deal.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. We were totally glad to have you. We're definitely going to have you back again.
All right, thank you guys for...
Before you go,
There we go.
Hold on.
Yeah.
One more question. Wait, one more.
no. I don't think these two people in the studio with me know really how great your great uncle was.
You are correct.
I'm
I mean,
telling
he
you,
was-
you've blown his mind.
he
You've
might have
really
been-
blown his
he-
mind.
He may have made some All-American teams.
I'm a tennis and a
I'm
racer.
telling you, I believe he still holds a lot of records, like 8
Football?
records. But
Basketball. He's great.
No, I
for it.
do football, I do bull race, the bull riding, I do rodeo, and I do racing, and that's about it.
He was great.
That's all, folks.
There you go.
But I'm really so glad to know that I asked a good question because I saw the last name and I thought,
As soon as he said that name, though, your eyes lit up. You were like,
there aren't that many Hemrics around still
Yeah.
like that. And Dickie Hemric was a great player at Wake Forest back when I was a kid, sort of a kid.
you've impressed
So-
him.
Daniel, when you come to Martinsville, if you got a picture of your uncle or great uncle, make sure you bring it for
I can
Al.
find it. I can find a picture on Google. I'll bet you. I bet you I can Google him right now and find it.
oh, guaranteed, I should have come up.
Listen, I'll come see you at Martinsville and I'll buy you a hot dog.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
That's
okay.
a big deal.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
See y'all later.
We'll see you later.
All right.
That's true though. I'll buy
Just
him a
hit the
hot
mic
dog.
button.
Hit the what one? Oh. I was just gonna like pick up and
Is that it? We're done?
Basically,
But the big,
I hope
that's
so.
all.
nobody can get
Yeah,
hold of
it's
Mr.
about
Jeffrey
5-2.
Earnhardt, so I have no clue what
It's
happened.
awfully close to shutting down the inspection line
Yeah.
time.
Oh, listen to you. Depends on where you're going. Depends on whether you're Chinesing or Ruby Tuesdaying it.
Let's do Chinese. I'm excited about some fried shrimp.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Well, we'll catch everybody next week on Let's Talk Racing. See y'all.
Bye.